So I'm just going to walk you through the things that I would kind of look at, like we talked about yesterday. Typically, monthly is about what I would benchmark. Maybe 14 days. Any less than that, daily, every couple of days. It's honestly the data isn't enough to worry about. So we're going to start with Google Analytics in here. So this, when you log in, and as a reminder, this is your property, this 486 number. This is the one you want. This will bring you to kind of this dashboard page. And so really kind of everything you really want to see is right here on the home. And you can change this filter to the last 28 days, last month, this month, whatever works best for you. But from this page, I would click view report snapshots and come in here. And then again, up here, you can change all these filters to kind of change, if you want to benchmark the last 90 days or year over year, whatever makes the most sense. But what I would look at here is these new users and where they're coming from. So the majority of your users right now are direct, but what we want to see over time is organic search start increasing. And it should. This is, if we look at change this filter to like the last 90 days, you'll see how it's climbing. So that was 294 from the September to December period. And then if we look at just this last month, your organic search was 93 in just those 30 days. So it's definitely climbing. So I would just keep an eye on that. And then users by country, not really that relevant. All of these are really just metrics to kind of help you understand how people are engaging with your website. Down here, views by page, this is relevant for being able to see which pages are performing the best. So obviously your home page is always going to be the top, but your second page, significantly higher than everything else, is this magnetic cruise ship door banners, which is the one we just optimized. So that makes sense. Cruise gifts. So just keep an eye, and then camper garden flags, which is the other ones we just did. So what you'll want to look at here are which pages are performing best and which pages are performing the worst. And I would honestly go through here, and any that are at the very bottom, those are the ones I would maybe start kind of optimizing next if those are products you're really wanting to sell. Obviously, if it's like the pillow covers or something you don't want to sell anymore, not that relevant. Really, that's kind of the main thing here on analytics. This is mostly just to understand how people interact with your website and what they do once they get to the website. You can kind of just explore in here and get kind of that data, but there's nothing in here to actually do or change. Right, so now we're going to go over to Search Console. And Search Console is where you actually kind of work in. So Search Console, when you log in, this is what you're going to see up front. So obviously performance, you can click full report here. These are the things I really want you to pay attention to. So we want to see your average click-through rate either staying stable. 1.6 is good. I'm happy with that. But I'd like to see it keep going up. And you can kind of see that's happening here. So keep an eye on this. If you see it drop below 1, that would be a warning signal. And obviously, like, going up is good. About 2.5 is really about the best you can ask for on ecom. So I wouldn't expect to see it much higher than that, but just kind of keep an eye on that. And then average position. So this is based on 3 months. Right now, we're at 26.5. Let's see. Last 7 days, that's kind of normal because Black Friday was last week and that tends to take a lot of traffic. But so 28 days, kind of again, my benchmark. Just keep an eye on this average position. We obviously want to see that, in this case, decreasing. The lower the number, the higher you're appearing on Google's. We want to see it go down, essentially, not up. Click-through rate, we want to see go up. And then if you come down here to queries, this is where you can see which page or what people are searching for and how they're finding your page. So obviously, Krista Custom Creations, that's a brand tag, that makes sense. But trackable keepsake gifts, personalized cruise door banners, camper flags, these kind of things. These are how people are finding you. Now, again, that doesn't mean that that's the highest search volume. That just means that's something someone searched for and they found your site as a result of it. If we go over to pages, this is where you can see kind of your clicks, which pages are getting the most clicks. That's really, kind of relevant. Like, we want to look at pages we've just recently optimized, make sure that those clicks are kind of improving, and they are. Like the cruise door banners are improving. That makes sense. And then I would also look at search appearance over here. So product snippets, you're always going to want that to be your highest. That means that they are actually searching for and finding your actual product pages, which is what we want. And that looks good at 23. So I'm happy with that. So that's just kind of how to look at it. As far as what to actually do in here, again, when you've got 90 days worth of data, which you don't yet, you'll want to pay attention to this core web vitals and make sure that your page speed isn't slowing down. There's no technical errors, but we need to wait. I think we decided yesterday, about January 28th is when you should start seeing data populated in here. Under indexing, this is where kind of most of the work happens. So under pages, right now you've got 228 pages. So we want to not see that drop. So if all of a sudden you see 200 or something like that, I would be concerned about it. And like we've already talked about, these proper canonical tags, this is the biggest issue that it's having in here is that you've got, all of these pages that they essentially mark as duplicate because it says copy, 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 copy. So these are kind of where we want to start addressing. Like we talked about, you can kind of just take this link, go find that page in Shopify, change that, and I'll show you where to do that in just a minute. This is something I'd want you to look at. And then also under page indexing, just keep an eye on robots.txt. Right now you're at 9. I'm good with that. These I've already checked. These are things like your admin page, your refund policy page doesn't really need to be indexed. Terms of service certainly doesn't. Cart, none of those need to be indexed, but if you start seeing these affected pages go up, that would be something to look at. And also no index tag. So if you're at 8, we looked at these yesterday, and these are all sandbox, which means they're draft pages. So I'm not worried about that. But if you start seeing that go up, that would be a thing to pay attention to. If you make major structural changes to the site, if you're adding a lot of pages, if you're changing a lot, it's a good practice to resubmit the sitemap. So this was last done on November 27th. Google will scan this for you like every 3 to 6 months. But if you make significant changes, if it's one page, it's not worth submitting a new sitemap for. You can index that page and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But if it is, a massive change, then we want to submit a new sitemap. And you can literally, this sitemap is auto-generated from Shopify. So you can literally, or I set it up to be auto-generated. So you can literally just copy that, put it in the URL and hit submit. On the pages, when you make a significant change that might fix one of these errors, so like this one. So let's say we do inspect URL. We're looking to see why it's not being indexed. So here it says, it's because it detects it as, a duplicate. You can test the live URL, ensure that it's not being indexed, which we already know that it is. But once you fix that, then you can click this request indexing button to get it indexed. But you don't want to do that until you've, fixed, like the problem here is this slug right here, this availability. It doesn't like that. So if you change those significantly, then it's worth submitting it for re-indexing. Moving over to the Shopify side. So here, the easiest place really to work is this app that I installed for you, this SEO and speed app. It's PETA. Within here, again, we're going to want to keep an eye on this, SEO score, make sure it's not slipping. 69 is decent for the amount of changes we've already made. What I would look at here are those image indexing. So if you go to, I believe we found it under SEO Booster. Nope, we found it under content optimization. No, Speed Booster. I'm going to find it. There it is. Okay. Speed Booster. Come down to optimize images and go to image optimization. And on this free plan, you can do, I think it's 900 a month or 30 a day. So anytime you just have free time, you're watching TV, you're not, doing anything else, come in here and just hit these optimize buttons. And that's all you have to do. If it does not have an alt text in it, this is a great time to notice that and go fix that. So this is how you can optimize all of those. And then if you go to your SEO audit, you can, in here, we can audit each individual page, which I've just done recently. So you don't need to do that again for a while. But under SEO, I'm sorry, content optimization, I believe. Yes. Content optimization. This is where you can see those scores. So anything in green, good, that page is doing well. I wouldn't worry about it right now. Here's one that's 84. And I can tell you just looking at it, it's this like, the slug has these numbers in it. It's probably not being indexed by Google. So if you click edit here, loading very slowly, you can come in here. I would set a focus keyword. So like, for instance, this one is, I believe this is a camper garden flag. So I would call it like World Down Syndrome. That would make sense there. I would change the title. If it's not, this one's actually pretty succinct, so I'm okay with this one. But if, we've seen some of those that have like copy or a bunch of keyword stuffing, this one's okay. I'm good with that. Updating this description to be as SEO optimized as possible would be this one. I don't think this is one. It just doesn't look like one I worked on. So one of the things that's flagging you here is like the title's a little long. It's not bad at 77 characters. I'm okay with it. And most of what we want to see, this World Down Syndrome Day garden flag, is in this, beginning part. So I'm not worried about that. But the blue and yellow ribbon is what it's cutting off. That's not too bad. So again, check your meta description, and then this is what's really important. So you're going to want to come down here and change these to something like this. So like this says Rock Your Socks World Down Syndrome Day. I would change it to something more like garden flag dashes in here if you want. You don't have to have those. It's up to you. I like to keep it consistent, and I think that's what we've been doing on your site. So we're going to keep doing it. And this will create the redirect, and then come down here and do your alt text. So see what the image is, put your alt text in. Like, these are duplicate alt texts. It doesn't like that. So one of these needs to change to be more accurately describing the image. That's really important. You want to be accurately describing the image. And then you'll just hit save. Its thing. Data saved, and then you could even rescan it and see. It might take a little bit for those changes to kind of take effect and for Google to catch up. So it might not immediately improve it, but I'm gonna look at it and see. No, it didn't yet, but I would, and we didn't, change the metadata or the alt text, so I'm not surprised. But just this is a really big deal. So that should help there. And then you can also do that, just so you know everywhere to get to it. If you're in your online store, you go to edit theme. I'm sorry, you need to be in your product pages. Products. So let's do this train Christmas advent calendar, because I don't think I worked on this one. So if you come in here and you go, so again, changing the title to be more, like you've got train advent in here twice, I would change, or train in there twice, I would change that. It probably doesn't like that. When you come down here, what you'll want to do is click this button. And here you can change the page title, you can change the meta description. This URL handle is actually reasonably okay. I'm not too worried about that. But if that had copy, you could, change it in here. So that's just another place to change it. But the SEO app does all of this as well, and it writes back and forth. So wherever you're more comfortable doing it is fine. So those are the main things to look at. And then, like we talked about with titles, don't keyword stuff. Don't put a bunch of, Christmas countdown, Christmas calendar, Christmas ornament. That's going to flag in Google, and it's going to negatively impact your SEO. You want your descriptions to naturally use your keywords, but not stuff them. So keep that in mind. But I think those are kind of the basics. And then we talked about using Google Keyword Planner also to see what people are actually searching for, because that's really important for how you optimize your pages. Google Search Console shows us what they search to find you, and that's good. that's important. But what we really want to know is what people are primarily searching for that we need to optimize for. So those are kind of the down and dirty, ways to manage it yourself. Certainly all those URL slugs, I think that's probably the first place I would start if I was you, and get more of those pages indexed, and then go from there. And if you have any questions, let me know.